My name is Robbie Savage. I live here in Greene County over in Green Mountain Lake, and I've been doing water basically my whole life. I was raised in Southern California on the beaches, and I started my career in Washington before all of you were even thinking about being born, and I worked with the Congress and the governors in the states on environmental and clean water issues. And the reason I do this is because I care about the water, and I think it's, you know, it's the most precious resource we have. We're made up of water, our brains are water, we live in water, we drink water, we swim in water, we do all of these things. And as part of being in Greene County, we're interestingly enough part of 2 watersheds. Does anybody know what a watershed is? Does anybody know? Yes, sir. What's a watershed? Here you go. This is where you get to help me. Explain it.
Watershed is where runoff drains in the same body of water.
Okay.
Help her hold the poster down.
Help me hold it up. Okay. And at the bottom too. So we are. You can stand on that side. Very good. This is the Rivanna River watershed. Does anybody know where Greene County is? Right up here. We're at the headwaters. Okay. And do you know what our watershed is called? We're in 2 watersheds. One is called the, we are part of the James River, but we start first in what?
Chesapeake Bay Watershed.
That's the biggest part. What's the name of the organization that I run? The Rivanna. So we're part of the Rivanna River watershed, and that's what this is. And our river flows, okay, turn around. Our river flows from Greene County and Albemarle County, comes right through to Charlottesville, all the way down to Lake Monticello and into the James River. So our Rivanna becomes part of the James, becomes then part of the Chesapeake Bay, so you're all absolutely right. And how many states, can you see down here on the right, down here where my hand is, how many states are part of the Chesapeake Bay watershed? Can you see them? How many? Okay, tell us what they are.
Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania.
In New York. Would you believe that New York is part of the Chesapeake Bay watershed? And all the pollution and all the junk that we put into the river goes all the way down here. See, we're at the headwaters up here. It goes all the way through, goes all the way down to the James, carries all the way to the Chesapeake Bay. So think of everybody that lives in the watershed trashing out the community and it ending up with those poor fish and crabs and all the other things like to live in our bay. So does anybody like seafood? You like crabs and clams? So if every time you think about throwing something in the river, think about that poor clam that you want to eat or those poor crabs. And you think about whether you want to trash them out and pollute them. Okay, so we're going to do a little PowerPoint here. Everybody knows what that is, right? Maybe we can turn the lights down a little bit. Okay. So everything is interconnected, right? The air, what we breathe, what we drink, what we eat, what goes underground, what goes up in the air, it's all interconnected. So if I throw something away in the river, that's solid waste, but it's in the river, so it pollutes the river. If I burn it at home and I've got trash, where does it go? It goes up into the air, and depending on what I just burned, that can put chemicals into the air. So everything we do is interconnected, and once we make something that has toxic chemicals in it, it doesn't go away. We can recycle, but it doesn't go away. So this is all called, this is our part of our water cycle, okay? So, Rivanna Conservation Society is 25 years old, and our goal is to care and protect for the Rivanna. We do education, we do buffers, we do restorations and cleanups. Does anybody know what a buffer is? Yes, sir.
It's where, like, you put trees along the sides of little creeks and stuff, so when nutrients wash in, only a little bit goes, and the roots, like...
You are so right. Wow, this is a smart class. Okay, we also have people that do this all the time, that stay in the river and make sure that our water is clean. Go ahead. So, here's Mother Earth. And she's saying, you know, you guys have been putting toxic chemicals in my air. You've been polluting my water. I'm getting insulted. I'm not very happy with all of you. And so when we keep putting all of these things in the air, in the water, trashing things out, sooner or later Mother Earth says, I'm going to get back. back at you guys. I'm not liking this at all. And so one of the ways, what a lot of people think, and I do, one of the ways that she's saying stop putting all this stuff in the air is called what? We're seeing a lot of it from the rains, not enough water in certain places. Do you know what it is? Global climate change. They used to call it global warming, but it's not just warming. The climate is changing from what it was when lots of us were growing up, and so that's making a real change in the way that our world operates, okay? Long time ago, before any of you were born, I was just barely born, Rachel Carson, who was a scientist, she was one of the first women scientists to ever really deal with the environment. She went before Congress and she wrote a book called Silent Spring. And she said, if you people keep allowing all these pesticides to go into our rivers, things are going to change. And have you ever seen a fish? Have you ever caught a fish with a big sore on it? Or have you ever heard about fish that change sex? That started out a boy and now it's a girl and whatnot? That's for all the pollution that we're putting in our waterways. And she said, if you keep doing this, you're going to wreck the ecosystem. So she was the first one to be taken really seriously about environmental issues. And then, in April of 1970, the people were saying, this isn't good. We're polluting our water. We're polluting our air. We're throwing trash all over the place. People driving down the highway, throwing all their McDonald's out the window, thinking, you know, somebody else will pick up after me. So, Earth Day, there was a river on fire in Ohio, and that got everybody's attention. It wasn't the only time, it wasn't the first time. But for some reason, it galvanized the concern. And so people across the country came together with Earth Day, and they said, we got to start caring for the land, for the water, and for the air. Okay. And then, in 1970, the Environmental Protection Agency, they created an agency just to deal with the environment. And soon after that, the Congress responded, because they're all kind of working together. In the old days, they used to work together a lot better than they do now. But in 1970, the Clean Air Act was passed. 1972, the Clean Water Act was passed. 1974, the Safe Drinking Water Act was passed. Then we had the solid waste bills and toxic chemicals and pesticides and lots of others that came after that. But you can see within just a 4-year period how people say, no, we don't want you to pollute, we don't want our waters and our air fouled, what they were able to do back then. And it was really very impressive, and we still have it today. So, Clean Water Act, which is what I spent my time on Capitol Hill dealing with. What is a point source? I'll bet you know this, don't you? A point source.
Like pollution where it enters only at like one place.
Do you know what a point source is? You
Pollution in one certain area.
exactly. That you can point at. That you know where it's coming from with a particular source. And you can look at that pipe over there and say, that's where the pollution's coming from. And I was working in EPA when we came up with these definitions, and they were so basic. Well, what do we call something that's coming out of a pipe? Well, you can point at it, so like to make it a point source. So, if that's a point source, then what's this? Yes, ma'am? Non-point. And what does that mean?
It means like it's over.
You don't know where it came from. Exactly right. So it's very basic. Very, you know, we like to make things complicated, but it wasn't. It was very basic. And then we started dealing with the law says we need to take care of our oceans and our estuaries. We need to remove toxic chemicals, and we need to protect the groundwater. What's in the groundwater? Do you know what's in groundwater? Where is it? Under the ground. And why is that important to us? If you're building a well, if you're up on the mountain and you put a well to get the water, where does it go? It goes down to the groundwater, to an aquifer down there. But we don't see that like we see trash floating down on rivers, do we? So we tend to think it's okay. Well, sometimes it is okay and sometimes it's not okay, and it's hard to measure. So that's the unseen resource that we don't take enough care of. Okay, the next one. This is the Rivanna River watershed. What's this right here? Do you know? Which county is that? Where do you live? Greene County. These are the Blue Ridge Mountains up here. It's Greene County. Okay, what's up here? You know what county that is? Albemarle. That's right. Down that way. This is the city of Charlottesville. What county is this one? Fluvanna. And these are all part of the same watershed. And then it comes down here, this Lake Monticello, the river comes down here and enters in here to the James River. And then everything that we put into the river here, all the pollution, we send it right there to the James, and the James carries it to the bay. So you all know the water cycle, right? Right? Yes? Okay. It rains, it comes onto the land, it gets hot, goes back up, comes back down, comes back up, comes back down. But did you know that virtually all the water that you have on the planet right now is the same water that was there when the dinosaurs were here? And it just keeps recycling and recycling and recycling. So, if that's the case, then how do we use our water? Let's go to the next one. Okay, I already said that, so we're good. Oh, well, it's not equally distributed, isn't it? Some states like Virginia have quite a bit of water. Some states like what state? Out west has had to ration their water, exactly. They don't have much water. So, you know, whoever the rain person is up there doesn't distribute it equally, which causes problems. In fact, according to President Carter, who spoke for us at a conference a few years ago, he said more wars are started over water in the beginning than any other single thing. So if you track back the history of a lot of the wars, it's who had the water and where they put their land and where they wanted to live. Okay? Rain falls more frequently near the equator. Did anybody know that? Near big bodies of water. So pretty cool, huh? Alrighty. So here are all the ways that we use water. Who's going to read them off? Okay, to
Drink.
and
Swim.
and whoop that and yeah, hydropower, grow. And what about this one? Does anybody know what this is? A lot of religions and a lot of faiths use water as part of their annual rituals, right? Has anybody heard of baptisms? Okay. A lot of people in Muslim and Hindu countries, they go into the rivers and they wash themselves with the river, like the river Ganges. The Indian folks believe that washing themselves. The Indians, our Native Americans, use ritual bathings as a big part of their ceremonies. And so not only do we use it for all of those, we also, as a world population, we use it for improving the way we feel about ourselves and our souls and our spirit. Okay. So, what's this? We use it for what? Go ahead. Drinking loud. Okay, what's this one?
Pooh Bear.
Winnie the...
Pooh Bear.
Okay, and why do you think I put that up there?
Needs water to drink.
Because when you go to the bathroom, what happens?
Oh, you poo!
Yes, and you flush your toilets. And where does all of that go? It goes to a sewer plant, but before it does that, it goes out of your toilet, underground in a big pipe. It meets up with other pipes, and it goes to the sewer plant where they clean it all up. Okay, and then they put it where? Back into the river. And then it goes a little ways downstream, and it goes to a water purification so that we can continue to have the same water that we had when the dinosaurs were here, right? So that's why Winnie's up there. What else?
Play.
To play, yeah.
That's kayak.
Fish, kayaking, swimming. Go ahead. What else?
Being clean.
Yeah. Have you ever had a dishwasher that's only half full and somebody starts it and wastes all that water? Yeah. So that's one of the things you want to make sure, is that if you have a dishwasher and the dishwasher isn't you, that you make sure that your dishwasher is always full before you run it. Same thing with your clothes. Take showers and baths that are really short if you can. I know it's hard. Sometimes you just kind of want to bathe and get in a big bathtub and just be whatever. So keep that to a minimum if you can. What about this one? everybody gets it, a pirate ship. So what is a pirate ship doing?
Sailing.
It's sailing across the ocean and it's taking what? Goods across the ocean. They may or may not have come by them honestly, but yes, pirate ship. I like that better than some of the big barges that just look more fun. And what about this one? What does this guy need?
Water.
He needs water, that's right. What do the crops need?
Water.
What do the trees need?
Water.
What do the people here in the houses need, the farmer?
Water.
Water, exactly right. So to grow crops, to have our animals, for us to live, we need clean water. Even so, we've been doing this for 43 years. We've been doing clean water programs, and still, about half of the water in the United States is polluted in one way or another. That's hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. So why do you think we're not making as much progress? Because we have more, what, coming into Greene County? People. So we got more people, and they come in, and they use more water, and some of them are really good about it. Some of them not so much, but that's more Winnie the Pooh, that's more animals, that's more pollution, that's more trash. And so we keep adding population, and folks like to be on the river. So, you know, they want to use the water in the way they want to use it. So it makes it very difficult. And we keep trying, but we've got a long way to go, and I'm looking to you guys to solve the problems that we couldn't. So, very quickly, 2000 BC, the Chinese and Egyptians dug the first wells. Do any of you guys have wells at your home? Yeah, some of you do? You get your water from the ground?
Oh, yeah.
So they were the first ones to do that. And then the Romans had what they called aqueducts. Does anybody know what that is? Has anybody been to Rome or to Italy? They're like big bridges that run through the city that carry the water, clean water, all through 260 miles through Rome to make sure that everybody had clean water. And they also had, does anybody know what a cistern is? So you put something on the side of your house, catches the water.
Oh, that one.
Sometimes we have rain barrels. Have you ever seen a rain barrel?
Yep.
Same thing. The gutters goes in there and saves water. Okay. They also learned a lot about purifying water. Why would we want to do that? What made them think that it was important to purify the water? Because of what? Diseases like cholera, other things like that, exactly. So they figured out that they needed to get all the pollution as much as they could. Boiling water, exposing it to sunlight, they found if they put it in the sun that would help. Filtering through charcoal, that's what we do, we still do that today. And then settling in earthen jars so that the junk was on the bottom and the clean water rose to the top. So we've been dealing with this water issue for a really long time. And then we said, in the United States, well, I think in 1908 somebody said, let's put chlorine in our water. What a great idea. And it did kill all the bugs, but they didn't think about the fact that it might be killing some of the bugs in your stomach and your gut that you really needed too. So we don't use this as much as we used to. 20 years ago, we were throwing chlorine in our rivers all the time to keep the waste and all of that under control. But we're rethinking that this maybe isn't the best way to approach it. So what's this? What's a flood? Come on. What's a flood? Yes, ma'am. Yeah, too much water. Too much water in a space that it's not ready for it. So it floods like this and takes out bridges and roads and gets in people's houses and whatnot because there's too much. And what happens when there's not enough? What's that called?
Drought.
Right. And you said earlier, which state is it that has water? California. The governor just said everybody in the whole state has to cut their consumption of water by, do you know what percent? 25%. That means no cars get washed, no pools get filled, no lawns get watered, only take a bath every 3 days. Maybe that would make, I don't know if that's true, but you can figure out how you're going to, in your family, reduce by 25%. That's a lot. Okay. Okay, so we did that. Here's the state of California. Anybody know what a wetland is? Have you ever seen one? Where? To see it? Exactly. Lots of them in Florida. So they tend to be these places that have lots of grass and lily pads and whatnot, and lots of our birds and our little critters and our little fish, crayfish, endangered species love to live in these places. But then, so do a lot of other people. And it often comes down to save a wetland or build a condo. And sadly, the condos and the houses and the shopping centers have been winning out. So, next one. So we have marshes, we have swamps, and we have bogs. Lots of bogs up in New England where they make cranberries and stuff, rice paddies and whatever. So they're different, they're all wetlands, but they're all different and they're in different parts of the country. So, they also help us reduce the flooding, because they're used to having water. They filter the pollutants. They recharge, which means they put more water back down into the groundwater. They trap the silt and sediment, which is one of the biggest problems we have here in our area. And 300,000 acres of wetlands are destroyed every year. So the political decision we're making, wetlands over development or houses or condos, we're going for the condos. And Mother Nature doesn't like that very much. So when it rains and we have these floods, it's because a lot of people are living in areas that are very low that they really shouldn't be in the first place, but they built it up. Washington, D.C. was a wetland. I can tell you, lots of mosquitoes in these areas. It's not fun. It's also very humid. Okay, so here's some options. Let's hear it. Ways to celebrate Earth Day. Take. Why's that? What does that do? That's right. Don't waste a lot of water. Turn off the water when you brush your teeth. Do y'all do that? Or do you let the water run? You're brushing your teeth and water's going to... Turn it off, brush your teeth, turn it back on. It's just a little bit, but if you do it every day of your life, just think of how much water you can save. Okay, run the dishwasher only when it's full. Do your laundry only when you have enough. And if I were your mother, I'd probably say don't put the whites in with the reds, but hey, whatever. Okay, the next one. Turn off the lights when you leave a room. Why is that important? You know? Your light bill goes up, that's right. You use more energy, it costs you money, and it's just as easy to turn the lights off, isn't it? And only turn that air conditioning on when you really need it. Don't just set it up there, let's keep the house freezing cold all the time, right? And so we're gonna, go back. We're gonna reduce the amount of pollution we put in the air and the water on land. We're gonna reuse as much as we can, recycle, okay? All right, and what are you guys gonna do for Earth Day? Is there something you can do to help?
It's recording. It's not dead.
You could conserve water, that would be great. So in your mind, just think of like the next week, reduce the amount of water that you use. What else? Maybe pick up trash along your road or close to where you live, or in a parking lot, or over at the market. Pick up trash, get that out of there so it doesn't get in the waterway. What else could we do? Take shorter showers. Don't let the hose run when you're outside. If you don't need to water your lawn and your plants, don't do it. Save the water. It looks like after the rain yesterday we have a lot, right? But it's going to seep into the ground and then we're going to need it again. Okay? So what else? I think that's it. There's going to be, in fact, the class, don't want to make you uncomfortable, but the class next door is going to get extra credit if they come to the Earth Fair at the skating rink on the mall this weekend. So if they come to the Earth Fair, Earth Week Fair, Sunday, it's going to be all day, if you can get down there. There are going to be lots of exhibits, lots of things to learn about the environment, not just water, which is what I do, but all kinds of things. And yes. And the way that they're going to show their teacher that they went is they're going to stop by the Rhode Island Conservation Society's booth and bring back something from RCS. Okay? Any questions? Did anybody